World Development System. Chapter 231. After about 5 hours. There was a vision where Lukov was holding a child who was half human and half demon. Lukov was with a demoness from Fire Abyss Kingdom who was smiling. Lionheart roared as he saw the vision, "What the hell?" He was fuming with anger as his eyes got red. This vision got disrupted by Lionheart's roar, and suddenly all the ingredients were suddenly caught fire and got wasted. There was also a vision where Lukov killed Lionheart, where Lionheart supported the Radiant Church for avoiding a civil war. Seething with anger, Lionheart roared, "This can't happen. My son and him having a demon child. I will accept anyone but a demon. Yes, kill him if it needs to be. Call General Leo, tell him to kill Lukov immediately." Ian Red spoke with urgency as he saw Lionheart's madness. "This must be the conspiracy of the demons. We can't let this happen, my lord. If Prince Lukov dies, then this will create a big storm, and he is already this strong. Who knows what will be recuperations if he survives? The demons might even see this as a chance to attack if we lost a strong general and prince to the boot. I am sure that you know about Fire Abyss King fearing the continuous growth of Prince Lukov. From the vision, I think that girl was a daughter of a duke in Fire Abyss Kingdom." Ian Red thought, Lionheart and his never-ending hate for demons. The Radiant Church and those warmongers from demonic side pulled a fast one over us all those years ago. Lionheart ordered ruthlessly, "Make a sketch of the girl and investigate. Find her if she is in Radiant City. Meanwhile, we will also keep a watch on Lukov and also his movements. From now on, try to predict more on Lukov." Seeds of doubts had already sprouted, and hence the actions. Ian Red sighed as he could only agree. Now this would be problematic. It isn't easy to keep an eye on Prince Lukov. He has very heightened senses. I guess we need to use that plan. At this time, both Lukov and Apophis were in their duel after passing 2 rounds. Apophis finally spoke to Lukov, "Creepy guy, it seems you are a gay. But sorry to burst your bubble, I am not into you." Lukov confusingly looked at Apophis and thought, he spoke, I am not into you. I am more interested in your sword arts. I am someone who is pursuing the finest arts in this land. Come, let's spar." Apophis spoke in an angry tone, I am not handing over my techniques and arts anyway. You can simply piss off." At this time both started clashing without using any magic power. Apophis decided to use her best arts immediately, as she wanted to get rid of this clingy guy immediately. She pointed her saber at him and used the bloody thorn, which was one of the finest techniques of her family. Watching this, Lukov smiled, and he too used his newly comprehended technique, the Sword of Thorny Paths. Lukov smiled as both of them clashed. After the first encounter, Apophis was shocked a little bit and thought, same as our family technique. No, this one has a lot of variations. It seems this guy was observing me for quite a few days. Apophis asked with a grim face, "How did you learn this technique?" Lukov smiled as he again charged for a second clash. Well, I got something related to it and saw your movements which were resembling the technique, and hence my interest in your technique." Apophis thought as he saw Lukov using the technique, so he really wasn't a gay. Quite a fruitful talent if he was able to derive so much just from observing me. Looking at the grim situation and not wanting to reveal her true power, Apophis suddenly did the unthinkable. "I will forfeit. The gentleman here can advance. This guy is unnecessarily attracting attention, I better leave or my identity will be revealed sooner or later. Who knew that this vagabond would have such incredible skills that even I would have a hard time unless I unleash my demonic form." Without saying anything, she left in a hurry without saying anything. The guy from the crowd again spoke, "Damn, again with his antics. For the first time, I thought that I could see his real power." Confused by the situation, Lukov started following her, but failing miserably as she suddenly disappeared in an alley. What was that? And I finally thought I can enjoy this spar. That guy disappeared? No, I can't let that happen, there is still a chance to learn swordsmanship from him. Bruno, who was in the arena, saw that Lukov has suddenly left, so he decided to chase him. Lukov signaled from a distance that he shouldn't chase him. Lukov looked for traces and finally found some clue. It seems he decided to leave in this direction. Here I come. Very soon he arrived at one of the abandoned pastures near Radiant City where the traces of Apophis couldn't be seen. Very Apophis came behind Lukov with a lot of killing intention. Lukov had sensed the killing intent, but he didn't lift his weapon. Why are you chasing me? Has the House of Thorns sent you to capture me? No, I just thought that you were an interesting guy. I have seen a lot of techniques, but yours was truly one of the techniques which was compatible with mine. I hope to come under your tutelage and learn your techniques. Detecting no malicious intentions from Lukov, Apophis let down her guard and decided to bring her in. She thought as he brought Lukov in, I will anyway exhaust this kid to death, which will force him to leave eventually. Me and taking a disciple? Gotta be kidding me. Master, I see that you are hiding your face. Do you have any problems? I can help you if you need. You are still not qualified to see my face. However, you seem quite familiar to me. Maybe you just resemble someone I know. Lukov didn't speak as he knew that his face was quite famous, but because of a disguise, he wasn't easily identified. If you want to learn the sword from me, then you will need to come here every day and train accordingly. Any objections? Lukov hesitated a bit, but then he saw that light in Apophis's eyes, which were smiling as if she would be happy if Lukov left. No problems. When can we start? TCH. Lukov, did he just? Okay, go and bring the dragon paralyzing flower of the highest quality to start your training. Lukov confusingly looked at Apophis, but Apophis explained, I ain't funding your training. You think learning my techniques is this easy? It would be good if he gives up while searching for this flower. Then Lukov suddenly sensed that one of his subordinates was coming. Shit, they had to come at this time. Lukov smiled and waved Apophis farewell. Okay, I will see you tomorrow. Lukov left immediately as he saw some guys before glancing at his own comrade led by Bruno. Apophis curiously looked at Lukov. It's good that he left. Never to meet you again. Creepy guy. Apophis spoke to her subordinate, we are changing our base. Chapter 232. Duncan sighed and came out of his trance as he thought of the old days. At this time, Amber, Emina, and others reached North Frontier City's borders. Binns was quite shocked after looking at the aftermath of the current battle. There were numerous caravans coming inside the town, and there was quite a happy atmosphere among the soldier of Sky Kingdom. He thought, it seems they have gained quite a lot from invading Dolores and the nearby towns. The morale of the soldiers too is quite high. It seems they had a field day and an easy victory. I would like to see their general who is able to pull off such a battle. No wonder Erwin is using Black Death. Amber asked one of the guys who was in charge of the southern castle, where is General Anak? I need to report him something important. The matter is very urgent. The guy shook his head and answered, Captain, he is not at the borders, he is currently at capital preparing the changes with Milord. If you want, you can meet Minister J. He shook his head and thought, J probably won't be able to take a decision on this disease. I need to meet Milord immediately and warn him of the situation. He spoke after some thinking, no need, I will head straight to headquarters. Give this letter to Jay and Milord so they can learn about the situation. Amber sighed and prepared to head towards North Frontier City. As they were preparing to go towards North Frontier City, Emina asked Amber as she looked at something peculiar, Hey, what is that magic device giving out water? That seems quite a costly device. Amber smiled and answered, Princess, it is not a magic device but a water pump which was developed just recently by His Majesty to reduce labor. It is used to acquire water from wells and other underground sources. This was made to reduce labor and increase productivity of our people. At first, a lot of people always thought of it as a magical device and hence the initial confusion when they saw something this good. The other guards smiled and understood but didn't speak as they too felt the same when they saw the water pump initially. Emina was quite shocked that the water pump wasn't working on magic but simple mechanics. Such a strange city. I see a lot of new and good things happening around here. Maybe this journey would be quite fruitful. Anyways, let's hurry and report about the disease Black Death to your lord, or it would be too late to save your men. Binz thought, interesting, I don't think even the dwarves have such capability in mechanics. It seems we can benefit greatly by allying with Count John. Amber nodded and headed towards the headquarters immediately. It was the second day at Laguna City and Fjord's fleet had already left for the north with the royal family and were going to attack Winter City with the dwarves. Dwarves too had given their signal that they would attack Winter City since it was open land recognized by none. Fjord read a report which shocked him to the core. It was about the northern battle and John's decision to secede. How is this possible? They were able to defeat General Irwin and his men in one day? And that Count has decided to secede? What happened at North? Explain to me everything in detail. General Irwin retreated. Is this a joke? One of the young ministers whispered as he heard the report and asked others, didn't war usually takes months and years to finish? How did this happen? One of the bureaucrats spoke wryly, yes, from the looks of it they were hiding something more sinister than the ballistas which forces General Irwin to retreat. It usually takes quite some time after a war starts, not mere 1 to 2 days. I guess this is the effect of Templar Johnson's death. Slowly Jonas came towards Fjord's side and explained, my lord, it seems his decision to secede is because of the food and trade blockade. I think this war was the last straw which forced them to take a decision as they were blatantly being invaded by the royal family and other lords. Meanwhile, at the same time, they were hiding a lot of their battle capabilities. Even I am quite confused at this scenario, but from the looks of it, they have used their ultimate card to push the royal family. However, if they had such capabilities, then they shouldn't have hidden them until now. He thought, was their aim secession from the start with a moral victory? It seems this count is more sinister than what we thought previously. No wonder he decided to free all the slaves before the war and his blatant offense towards the aristocrats. Fjord asked Jonas, what is the message from dwarves about their invasion? Is there any news from King Ludwin? Jonas sighed and answered, after hearing about the continuous sinking of their scouts at those settlements. After sending back one of dwarven ships with a message, they have said that Count John has sent a diplomat at the dwarven kingdom of Brindil to resolve the matter, and same is the case for them as they want to keep an eye on that count. It seems King Ludwin wants an amicable relationship with that count since he has dared to defy the kingdom. However, they will certainly to invade for the previous actions of Count John. I guess they are going to put all the blame on their general if he fails. However, it seems they are unaware of the Northern War and casualties which took place recently. Fjord nodded and spoke with a smile, don't reveal to them about the results of this war. Let them think that it is still going on. I am guessing, King Ludwin would want to pressurize that diplomat sent by Count John and extract benefits from them. Let them sink. It is beneficial for us anyway. That count will take our position and eat up our share. A bad relationship between them is better for us. It is okay even if we lose some troops who have gone with the royal family. They anyway can escape with their faster ships. Both the royal family and the Brindil kingdom would order from us to make their destroyed ships. Jonas nodded and thought, true, even the royal family would stop paying attention to our threats if the King Ludwin allies with Count. And it would be better for us if both the royal family and the dwarven kingdom lost their ships, as it would anyway generate massive income for us. Jonas nodded and spoke, okay, my lord. We won't tell them about the casualties. Lukov and his men were seriously trying to find Prince Felix as they patrolled the borders continuously. One of the soldiers spoke angrily as they patrolled in the western domain, God damn it, that slimy snake surely escaped carefully. Currently, Duke Blackwolf's man, Fen, was carefully observing the place where the battle between Lukov and Felix took place. He murmured, it seems it has finally calmed down. However, those soldiers would have a very bad fate. Even I hate the thought of fighting that man. Let's go. Yes, Sir. In a nearby town. The knight spoke to Felix as they tried to escape in rugged commoner clothes. It is good that we escaped early, or it would have been disastrous for you, my lord. Felix nodded and spoke, however, I still wonder, how did Lukov manage to get Liam on his side? Didn't we make sure that there were no connections between him and Lukov? It was good that we escaped in fear of mutiny, or else I would be in the hands of that lunatic, Lukov. Let's try getting in touch with the local Radiant Church. They might have an answer. The knight shook his head and spoke, I would suggest otherwise, my lord. There are a lot of spies of Prince Lukov near the Radiant Church in this town. We would be exposed unnecessarily. And Prince Lukov wouldn't mind massacring the Radiant Church to catch you. We have already seen the numerous attempts they have tried to catch you alive. Felix clenched his teeth and murmured, I will pay back for this humiliation just like I did in past. He thought as he clenched his fists, sullying his name didn't work previously, maybe I should try killing Duncan, fuck, he doesn't have any weaknesses. How long will I hide from him? This needs a conclusion, maybe I should ask General Leo, he will certainly help me. The knight sighed and thought, Lord has been like this ever since the Red Lake City incident. I guess everyone saw Prince Lukov's ruthlessness over there for the first time. At this time Emina and Amber met with Minister Mist and Allison, who were casually enjoying their days at North Frontier City. Emina smiled and asked Allison, who was enjoying a game of chess with Mist, you guys seem quite relaxed after watching your engagement in that new game, what is it called? After suddenly hearing Emina, Allison got up and greeted Emina, ah, my princess, I am sorry for not noticing your arrival. Actually, the game is called chess. These new tactical games are quite good at honing your mind strategically. There is this another game called Go. Ah, it seems Mr. Binns is also sent by Her Majesty to protect you. Mist too nodded and greeted Emina and Binns. Well, the thing is we can't do anything since we are locked here, and we thought about doing something entertaining. Currently, we were focusing on growing various types of herbs and experimenting at the Medical Research Center. Emina nodded and spoke in a grave manner, well, this time, things are serious. Apparently, Black Death disease has been found at Dolores. From the looks, both the royal family and the Radiant Church are involved in this operation. With an alarmed expression, Mist spoke, had things reached such a situation they started employing such a method? It seems they were always in possession of this disease and always used in a controlled manner. Binns sighed and spoke, yes, apparently, the royal family and the Radiant Church faced a complete wipeout when they tried to invade North Frontier City. We need to delay the effects of this disease and then find a cure. Allison sighed and spoke grumpily, finally I would have to work. Such a hassle. Okay, I will need more these new sort of wines. Taylor, who attended them, spoke, of course, my lord. There won't be any problems regarding that. I hope you can help us with that. Taylor's secretary came in and reported him something. After hearing him out, Taylor spoke immediately, sorry for the wait, my lord just came after hearing your arrival and the situation about Black Death. If you want you can have a meeting with our lord, John. Mist and Allison looked towards Princess Emina for decision. Emina nodded and spoke, okay, we will meet immediately. Start the preparations. The situation is already serious. At the Dwarven Kingdom, Brindil, Joseph's butler, Philip had landed at their port as John's official diplomat. After multiple discussions, it was decided that Philip will be official diplomat after his successful work at the Trade Association and increasing the market via legal and illegal means. After landing at the Dwarven port, Philip sighed and spoke, it seems I will miss North Frontier City and their lifestyle. I hope this mission can help Master Joseph to increase his standing. After looking at the surroundings, he ordered his men, okay, guys, let's prepare for our mission and prepare those wines for His Majesty and other ministers at Capital. My lord said that wines would work wonders on dwarves and we shouldn't miss our chance with these high-quality wines. As they were traveling to Capital, the dwarven driver of the cart had a certain type of arrogance which normally wasn't seen elsewhere. This is one of the best brand of carriages in our kingdom. I am sure you have seen this for the first time, right? Philip thought as he looked at the carriage, better than the ones which are made in Elias but still lacking compared to the Sky Kingdom. These carriages don't even have springs for shock absorbing. As Philip's men were about to rebuke, Philip stopped them and asked the driver, "Are there any better carriages in your kingdom than this one?" The driver nodded and asked, "Yes, there are 3 more. But they are quite expensive. If you want to impress the guys over here, then you would need to make good quality wines. That's the way towards a dwarf's heart. A lot of times they won't even sell those high-end carriages without a recommendation." Likewise the dwarven diplomat, Anan, landed at Eastern Port City with his men and started traveling for North Frontier City via their own ways. With a proud look, he looked at the commoners and murmured, "As always, these guys are still as backward as they were 30 years ago." He had a big red beard which was hanging. Wearing luxurious clothes and with grumpy mood, he spoke, "Why the does His Majesty, Ludwin want me to travel to that upstart's domain? He would be crushed sooner or later because of his arrogance." Anan's secretary nodded and spoke, "True, my lord, I recently heard that he had decided to secede from the Elias kingdom. I guess, King Ludwin wants to entertain him because of his weapons." Anan smiled and spoke, "Well, there is another thing which the king is interested in, and that is Tornwall. From our predictions, it was Tornwall who made those ballistas, and His Majesty hopes to appease him and bring back the talent of Brindil." He thought, "Well, it doesn't matter if we use force or we don't use it. And then there are our spies which can't contact this easily. Anyways, we can get some concessions from this count since he is at war with the royal family. According to our calculations, this count won't fall because of his ballistas which have a higher grade tech. Additionally, it would be nice to have a colony near Elias which can harass them on a frequent basis." The driver thought, asked one of the men, "Who is this guy? He gives off an imposing feel." He thought, "This guy seems quite arrogant and gives off a feeling of superiority." One of the dwarven guards smiled and warned the newbie, "Shh, he is one of the Lord of Dwarven Kingdom, Brindil. So speak carefully if you don't want to lose your head." He thought, "Ah, so that was the reason why I felt this way. No wonder, we were paid quite well today." Chapter 233. Currently, John was in a serious meeting with Emina, Mist, Allison, Taylor, and all the other important ministers. After hearing about Black Death, John nodded and spoke, "It seems they have started to resort towards using Black Death without caring about anyone and blame it on us when a lot of people die. I expect the Radiant Church to bring out its cure and gain people's goodwill and start a crusade against us. They at least want to make propaganda against us for the long run." Taylor nodded and spoke his hypothesis, "Yes, I too feel the same. I think the royal family too is thinking of using this to cast us as evil and voluntarily gain soldiers to fight their wars without any backlash. Eventually, we will be blamed for this disease when a lot of people die at Dolores." Hearing them, Mist smiled and spoke, "A good in-depth understanding of this ploy. Well, you guys don't need to worry. If the blockade is over or if you can get your ships towards our ports, we can help you out with holy water of Raven Tree. The cure for this would be expensive, but I think you guys can bear it. Previously, we too faced the same problem when the Radiant Church tried to infiltrate us with tacit support from the royal family, however we had solutions regarding them. Meanwhile, Allison here can delay the effect of this disease, so we need a comprehensive plan. I think your cannons can be useful in bringing holy water from Ionanor." Emina then took out the holy water of Raven Tree and gave it John. "I think this water here can help you understand how to deal with Black Death for now." John then signaled Amber and asked him to give the powder of Black Death as he wanted to personally experience how this disease affected his body. "Give that powder. I want to see it personally." Amber was quite confused when John made the request. John sighed and spoke, "Since we have the holy water of Raven Tree, you don't need to worry about me. Additionally, I am a magic knight as well, so no need to be cautious. I personally want to see how this disease affects the body." John sighed and immediately took the Black Death powder and sprinkled it on himself. He suddenly got a notification: harmful parasites trying to enter host's body. Parasites trying to consume magic power -1 Parasites trying to magic power -1 Analyzing the parasites. 1% 15%. 100% analyzation complete. Parasites eliminated. Low-level parasites designed carefully to survive on the magic power and later on the life force. Only the people with low-level magic and those without magic power are affected by these parasites, as those with high magic power mutate the cells and develop resistance. Finding cure against the disease Black Death. Holy water of Raven Tree, highest grade medicine. Works in seconds. 8:5 Combination of the yellow radiant flower and green mystic water, upper middle grade medicine. Works in a day. 4:7:9 Combination of yellow berries, white rose flower and brune wine. Lower grade medicine. Works in 2 days. Needs 3 doses every day. Along with it, 9 other formulas came inside John's mind which varied based on the usage and their effect. John smiled as he heard the analyzation of Sarah. Watching John smile, Mist was bewildered a bit, but keeping his composure, he asked, "Did you find anything relevant?" John smiled, "Yes, I think I already got the gist of this disease. No need to worry about me, I am safe. Meanwhile, I would like Minister Allison to help to prevent the spread of Black Death disease via his medicine. We will pay you immediately via our best wines which have not yet been introduced to the market, both the aristocratic market or normal market." Amber and Taylor looked at Emina and others to confirm the safety of their king. Mist sighed and spoke, "He is safe, no need to worry, he is safe." It seems it was because of Lord John's high control and magic power that there is no presence of parasites. John immediately ordered Taylor to prepare a lot of ingredients which would be used in preparation to tackle Black Death. After checking the list, Taylor sighed and spoke, "My lord, it would be very hard to find yellow radiant flower in huge quantities as the Radiant Church has the monopoly over them. However, we can get quite a sum if we try the black market." John smiled and answered, "No need to worry, you can get other materials which have little to no value in huge quantities. See the set of yellow berries, white rose flower and brune wine. I have written all the sets. See the ones which can be bought in huge quantities and their prices as well. I will be heading to the Institute's lab and prepare some experiments. Bring the ingredients of all set though." Mist and Allison were quite shocked after watching him write the set which required the yellow radiant flower. Mist smiled and murmured, "I guess he already figured out how this disease worked. Previously we too always suspected that Radiant Church used their unique radiant flower for a cure. This guy has quite the acute senses, no wonder Melanie took him in as a disciple." Mist nodded and signaled Allison, "Start the preparations, Allison, we have to make those cures for delaying the effects." After watching the relaxed expressions of everyone, Emina was quite skeptical but didn't decide to say any further as she understood that things were in control for now. Emina thought and murmured, "I guess he is planning to buy a lot of those flowers from the black market if push comes to shove." Taylor then approached Emina and spoke, "Princess, we have prepared a mansion for you. If I may, you and your men can stay there." Emina nodded and spoke, "Yes, I was anyway planning to tour this kingdom. A lot of things here has fascinated me. I want to know how to make those water pumps." Taylor was about to deny her delaying, but John immediately spoke, "It's okay Taylor, they have helped us escape a disaster this time around. We need to treat our benefactors with sincerity. You can give the blueprints to Princess Emina. However, we will take 7% royalties if they are used commercially. Well, they would be copied eventually when people understand their mechanics, so it's okay." Binns was quite surprised as he understood the value of water pump in initial stage which would reduce labor in the kingdom and increase productivity. He immediately spoke, "We accept." Binns looked at himself and then at Emina, "Ah, sorry, I spoke without thinking." Emina spoke, "Well, it's okay, I only wanted it for my mansion at Ionanoer. It would be easy for the servants at the palace and my mansion to free up themselves. John turned to Taylor and spoke, I will be giving a lecture at the Institute regarding Black Death and its cure after experimentation. So make all the preparations. I currently have a gist on how to solve this crisis. So prepare accordingly. You can ask Joseph and Jack in Trade Minis Terry's to get the materials in huge quantities. Meanwhile, prepare those ingredients in small quantities for my lab at the Institute. John smiled and murmured, this time, the Radiant Church and the royal family has given me a chance to attack them. Taylor immediately asked as John was about to leave, Lord, what about that diplomat, Annan and Duke Norman's recent expansion in the north via other borders? John thought a bit and spoke, you can handle that diplomat for now. Currently, we need to have recognition. However, make him aware of our rules or else we can't help him. Try bribing him with our wines so it would be easy to control him. As far as Duke Norman's expansion is concerned, don't bother for now. We will see when our borders meet. We will back off from Dolores after handling the Black Death. I anyway want a buffer between Elias and Sky. This is also one of the reasons why I released that Baron. Emina and Binns were outside headquarters as they talked. Emina asked Binns, this city gives quite a fresh feeling. What do you think about Lord John, Binns? Binns nodded and spoke, yes, I see a lot of happy faces. As far as Lord John is concerned, I think he is quite strong as I felt it instinctively. However, when it comes to his people, I can see that he genuinely cares about them. We benefited quite a bit this time when we got the blueprints of those water pumps. I can also understand why Minister Mist and Allison were enjoying here unlike other places. Emina thought as she remembered about her cousin, ah yes, I forgot to inform them about Joanna who was cured of malaria recently. Binns smiled and spoke, I don't think we need to inform them. They wouldn't have sent those medicines without checking thoroughly. Binns smiled as he sensed some people keeping a watch on them. He sighed and thought, I guess they are here to keep us protected. Anyway, this time we might as well enjoy our time. Henry was currently meeting with Duke Rose. Duke Rose smiled and spoke, it seems you have decided to take up my offer. Henry spoke with a grave tone, yes, I didn't join Count John as he offered me quite a very good deal because I would have been called a traitor by my comrades, which I wasn't, and I took your offer because I want to pay back Duke Fjord for what he did to Lucy. Duke Rose nodded and asked, don't you want to find your son? Henry nodded and agreed, yes, and that is one of the reasons why I joined you. I wanted to use your spy network to locate my son. What will do if I found information about your son and find him? Henry, I will work for you without any hesitation as long as it isn't against my interests, i.e. me and my son. But I won't be swearing any other oath in this lifetime. Duke Rose smiled and spoke as he knew that this would work, that's okay for me, I don't doubt your loyalty. We do have some information on your son. From our sources, I think your son is currently at Rose Institute under Josephine. Some of my spies were able to identify him. It seems he decided to court John as he is currently at war with Fjord. It seems your son seeks revenge for her mother's death. I guess John didn't know that Lucius was at Rose Institute, or he would have certainly brought that up when he offered you to join him. Take this report to get a better understanding. Duke Rose smiled and asked, so what is your decision? Henry too quite shocked as he read the report. He closed his eyes and spoke, I guess that is his fate. It would be better if he lives there since there would be fewer worries. Okay, I have made my decision, I will join you completely from now on. From now on I would like to be deployed in Navy or Northern Land Army near Fjord's borders. Duke Rose smiled and spoke, you don't need to worry, I have a perfect position for you. You will be leading a small fleet in the Navy. As you gain more achievements, you will be promoted simultaneously. Chapter 234. At Duke Rose's palace. The internal minister asked Duke Rose, who was in a good mood today, "My lord, what the matter? You seem quite happy, unlike yesterday. Duke Rose spoke in a humming tune. Well, it is because of John. He gives a lot of surprises. Previously I was quite angry when he announced his secession without any thinking or even consulting us. But today I got to know about the casualties the Royal Army and others faced by the opposing him. It seems he had quite a plan when he decided to make the previous announcement. And now I got a very capable general in Henry. Hence my happy mood today. The crux of the matter is, John secced at a crucial time when no one can say that he was rebelling. It is more like he is protecting himself against the pressure of other aristocrats. Brandon was quite happy after the changes were personally seen by him and spoke his thoughts immediately. True, that Count gives a lot of surprises. Previously I was quite cautious about trading with him since it could anger others, but the goods and services from his domain have increased the productivity of domain by quite a bit. Take the roads for example, which has increased trade, or their cement, which has boomed the real estate industry. Or our reliance on Radiant Church, which has decreased quite a lot. Overall we have made 3 times the normal profit after the changes. However, this war has halted the trade for now. I hope we can start our trade sooner. However, this time we need to be cautious, as people in the court may try to attack us as John has secced. We should prepare a plan for that scenario. We should ask for those superior ballistas from Count John, no King John, which be quite helpful to us. Rose nodded and agreed. Yes, we need to be cautious of the ministers and their schemes currently. Okay, I will ask John if he can sell me those better ballistas. It would be hard after the previous fiasco where Fjord's men were able to acquire our ballistas. But it is always better to try. John immediately headed towards his lab at the Rose Institute. A lot of people were quite astonished to see John coming to the institute during the wartime. One of the students exclaimed, "It seems Lord is here for something important. I guess he is planning to invent something amazing." Another student spoke, "Why? Isn't it natural that Lord would want to visit an institute that he painstakingly made?" He shook his head and spoke, "Not currently, because it is wartime right now. And if he is visiting now, that means he has something important to do right now." True. I guess he wants to announce something. Well, let's wait and watch. As soon as John headed inside the lab, he smiled after watching the required ingredients which would be needed to make the medicine. John thought and murmured, "Okay, let's first try the one which required the yellow radiant flower. Successful cultivation of high-grade medicine to combat Black Death plus 22 doses of medicine. Congratulations to host on successfully making a high-grade medicine against Black Death." John smiled as he looked at the medicine. "Now that's good medicine for my first try. Okay, now let's try all the other formulas to combat this disease." This time both of them will cry tears of blood for trying this shit on me. Since I am here, maybe I should something make unrelated as well. Something related to mononourishment. Yes, this will help me stabilize the outside forces. Just as Annan was approaching North Frontier City, he was quite surprised by the condition of roads. He thought, it seems, they knew that I was coming and hence the better condition of roads. Well, they still managed to impress me. However, I guess this is due to Tornwall and his genius methods. I should strictly follow the orders and try bringing Tornwall to Brindle. Looking at the bicycle, Annan thought and asked the driver, what is that tool? How come they don't require a beast of burden to carry them?" The driver proudly spoke, "That's a bicycle, my lord. It was made by Count John to reduce the travel time and increase the productivity of his town by saving time. What do you think, my lord?" Annan snorted and spoke, Your lord seems quite an interesting person." He thought, "I guess he likes taking credit of his subordinates. Maybe I can use this to persuade Tornwall and bring him back." The driver proudly spoke as he thought about his son. Yes, he is someone who has improved the lives of commoners while giving opportunities to everyone in his domain. Now everyone can get education at his domain without worrying about expenses. Currently, my son is studying at the Rose Institute for his future. If it was me, I couldn't have sent him to the Imperial University with my meager wages. I guess my lord understands the pain of commoners when it comes to certain things. My son said that previously when he met Lord at the institute he spoke that he understood the pain of students' debts. I guess it is due to his previous experience. Annan thought, according to our investigations, I don't think his lord ever visited the Imperial University. I guess this driver gone senile. Anyway, let's try getting more information from him. Annan nodded, seems plausible. We too have scholarship programs for outstanding students at Brindle. Tell me more about your lord. The driver spoke with refreshing smile. Well, he has abolished slavery. It seems my lord is intending to create an equal level playing field for everyone. Annan furrowed his brows and asked, what? Slavery is banned here. He thought, now it may be tough to bring back Tornwall. Maybe I should try using our oldest method of wines. We anyway have the best wines in the world. Very soon, Annan and his mates arrived at North Frontier City. Annan looked around and saw that Internal Minister Taylor was present to greet him. He thought, by the looks of it, this city can be comparable to our capital. Chapter 235. Taylor greeted him with his professional smile and invited him, Minister Annan, welcome to our small abode. We hope that you had a fine journey towards North Frontier City. Minister Annan nodded as he smiled and spoke, you guys not having a port is a troublesome thing. We can anyway discuss important matters after me and my men rest. Taylor forcefully smiled a bit and spoke, of course my lord, we have prepared one of the mansions near the square as an embassy for Brindle. You can be at ease over there and take your time to rest. I heard that Minister Annan has quite the fondness for alcohol. I wonder if you would be interested in coming with us at Hope for a banquet and taste our best wines. Taylor thought as he heard Annan, it seems they still haven't accepted Winter City and Aurora as our place of the domain. No worries, when they try to invade and get the results of their misadventure, they will eventually accept it for their interests. Annan smiled and thought, good wines and these backward people. At most these guys would be serving poor malt. Even the royal family of Elias doesn't try using their local wine to influence us. Well, this would be a good opportunity to humiliate them and broadening their horizons. Annan smiled as he looked at his men and spoke, okay, I hope you prepare your best wines or else my men will be blunt when it comes to expressing their opinions, right? I am sure you guys won't be offended. Annan's men smiled as they saw their master and nodded. Taylor smiled as he understood their intentions, it's okay. They can express their honest opinions. Let's go. Taylor smiled and thought, well, they won't be able to lie in front of Minister Mist and others. They soon entered the square. A lot of people were surprised by the way Annan was treated, but they soon understood that he was a dwarven diplomat who was sent by King Ludwin. One of the commoners spoke, it seems an ambassador from Brindle Kingdom is here. Greg furrowed his brows as he heard about Minister Annan. It seems I need to inform others about this new development. At Annan's entourage. Annan's assistant spoke to Annan as they traveled the North Frontier town, Lord, this city has a lot of interesting things. That bicycle has particularly raised interest from our men. Meanwhile, the clothes most of the guys here are wearing are quite well stitched and has a lot of creativity. Even with our production capabilities, we were never able to create such a phenomenon in the clothing field at least. Well, it's good that these guys are bad using their resources by making those artistic buildings. The only tower that is worth our attention is the clock tower. I had heard a lot about this tower. Watching it now has certainly broadened my views. Annan nodded proudly and spoke, yes, this city surely has a lot of surprises, no wonder, King wants to bring back Tornwall. We believe most of the inventions here are because of Tornwall, so it is no wonder that they are able to create so many surprises. Meanwhile, we will try to contact that General Anak. His achievements have raised interests from a lot of people, which includes the demons. At Hope, Martha had already prepared for a banquet as ordered by Taylor. Martha was ordering everyone in Hope, I want all the preparations on time. No one can slack off today. If we have a successful banquet, then all of you will be rewarded. Currently, Minister Annan of Brindil has arrived here as an ambassador to the Sky Kingdom, so it will be a good opportunity to showcase the best delicacies of Sky Kingdom. Martha sighed with relief as most of the preparations were done. She asked her assistant, "Are Minister Mist and others informed that Minister Annan will be here?" The assistant nodded and spoke, "Yes. They too will be arriving here shortly with other ministers." Good. It seems Taylor is well prepared this time around. Suddenly a bell rang, which indicated that Taylor was coming with Minister Annan and his men. Very soon all the parties arrived at the welcoming banquet for Minister Annan. Mist immediately spoke as he saw Annan. My, Minister Annan surely has graced us coming here. I hope you don't mind that artistic scenery here." Annan furrowed his brows and thought, "This Longier is here as well. No wonder there are so many useless crafts over here. It seems they too have some business with Lord John." Annan smiled and spoke, "No wonder there are so many useless things over here. Well, apart from that clock tower and the administrative headquarters, no other structure caught my attention." Looking at the tense situation, Taylor interrupted and spoke, "Why don't we enjoy the banquet today? You see, we have prepared a lot of delicacies today which might interest all of you today." Both Mist and Annan nodded and headed for the hall. Annan whispered to Taylor, "Minister Taylor, I will be blunt. As I was traveling the North Frontier City, it gave us a lot of surprises. We hope to make a deal with you guys regarding those things called bicycles. However, I hope to meet your lord personally." "Well, making a deal is possible. Currently, my lord is very busy as he is making preparations because of the ongoing war. However, I will try for an appointment." Very soon the banquet started. While Allison was trying the wines, he made a ruckus and spoke loudly, "Why is this cheap wine gracing our tables?" Annan smiled and thought, Even the elves hate their wine. This will be quite a show." Annan's assistant came spoke, "Lord, it seems they are slandering one of the wines of Brindil." Annan furrowed his brows, "Does he not fear us banning the export of our wines? Let's see what is he up to." Annan spoke loudly, "Mind your language, Minster, Allison. Don't slander our wines without reason. We have the best wines on this continent. Apologize immediately." Allison cunningly smiled and asked, "What if you are wrong? I can show you more than 5 types of wines which are better than the ones provided at Brindil." Annan angrily took out his sword and spoke, "I will bet my famed runic sword as a bet." Allison, "Very well, I will bet the Adam Tree wood." "No, you will apologize." Allison thought and spoke, "Well, my apology is more costly." "Very well, but if you can't accept defeat, then you and your men can't drink these wines in their whole life." Mist smiled and thought, "Ai, they are already reeled in his trap. They will lose either way." Allison smiled and took out a magic contract. "Very well, let's sign the magic contract. All of your men will sign, right?" Annan roared, "Of course they will." Very soon all the parties signed the contract. Taylor sighed and thought, "I hope to attract his attention in a different way. Well, it is still good. This is at least manageable." Allison spoke as he pointed towards a direction where all of the sort wines were lined up. "In front of these wines, the other wines in the world are simply trash. You guys can anyway start the tasting." After drinking the first wine, a lot of dwarves were surprised, but they still contained their excitement as currently, the face of their lord mattered more. Annan's assistant too had a gloomy face as he tasted the wine. "No wonder he was provoking us. The concentration in this wine is quite good. That Redbeard's family doesn't such mastery in winemaking techniques." Very soon Annan too tasted one of the wines. "How is this possible? Did Tornwall ever have such mastery on wines? No. They might have stolen some techniques. Well, let's try other wines and then come to a conclusion." One after another, all of the wines were tasted. Soon of the dwarf can control himself and spoke, "Wonderful, give me one more cup. Pour it, fast." I ain't abandoning my right to buy this wine. These wines are sold in your town, right? The maid smiled and spoke, Yes, my lord, they are sold in North Frontier Town. You can buy it anytime. But if you are blacklisted, then no distributor will sell it to you. As if a dam had been broken, the other dwarfs too approached and spoke, Damn right, I ain't abandoning such a good hard wine for my face. Sorry boss, we can't help. The dwarf apologized to Annan and immediately headed to get the Blood Moon wine and White Snow wine. Only Annan's assistant was controlling his desire. Annan too wanted to approach, but he was red with shame and anger. He thought this Longier certainly knew that this would happen, and hence this trap. That manipulative prick. What do you say, Annan? Should I apologize? Then you might have to abandon your thoughts on these wines. They are anyway trash, right? Annan stomped in anger and left. Humph, Minister Taylor, we will talk later. Taylor sighed and nodded as he led Minister Annan to his mansion. Allison smiled and spoke, It seems he has accepted his defeat. Mist smiled as he watched Annan leaving in anger, You were quite nasty. Ha ha ha. Allison spoke, Well, that shorty is always arrogant whenever he visits Ionanoer. This would teach him a good lesson. This time Annan's assistant too didn't hold back and got in the line to get Blood Moon. While trying food he was quite surprised and spoke, The food here is good as well. It seems we made a wrong evaluation previously. Well, it's good that Lord isn't here, or else he would have only got angrier. Chapter 236. Currently, Philip and his men were at the capital with the mayor at Brindle. Looking at the scene, Philip thought, It seems they deliberately didn't send a high-ranking minister to show their power. Well, the dwelling they gave isn't bad though. Maybe I would need to remodel it, since they could have placed runes to spy on us. As Lord Joseph said, I need to be cautious since it is a foreign country. First I need to understand who are people in power at Brindle. Philip didn't show his displeasure and immediately thanked him, Thank you, Mayor, for your help. As a token of our appreciation, please take the Blood Moon wine which has just recently started at our kingdom. This is one of the best wines which has been famous all over Ilias and Fire Abyss Kingdom. It is a hard wine. The mayor was surprised by Philip's positive reaction because he knew that he was deliberately sent to incur the displeasure of Count John and his men. The mayor thought, Surprisingly he is calm. Well, let's see how long he can keep his calmness. It seems he knows the weakness of us dwarves, but they don't know that not any cheap wine would work here. Insulting them a bit at the competition would work. Today the Wine King is there as well. This diplomat is quite unlucky, as he is quite picky and wouldn't let off any guy who has showcased a bad wine. Humph, even the officials would carefully participate in his competition. The mayor smiled cunningly and spoke, We have the perfect platform to showcase the best wines of the Sky Kingdom at the 1000 Wine Banquet. Today the Wine King is also present as a judge over here. This would be a perfect opportunity for you to meet the higher UPS. However, I would warn you, don't provoke the Wine King. Though he might not be an official, he has a lot of power comparable to a duke. Philip smiled as he heard the mayor and asked, Why is that so? Mayor nodded and spoke, Well, he provides his best wines to the king, ministers, and dukes, which is made in very small quantity every year. His family has been doing this for centuries. The reason that there is small quantity is that he mostly travels all year round to explore more on alcohol and its ingredients. Basically, he has a passion for wine. Philip nodded and thought, A perfect opportunity to meet people in power. Well, let's try. After 27 experiments, John finally heard. Success. You have successfully made mana-restoring pill. Generating other recipes based on the properties of the mana-restoring pill. John finally smiled. After he was successful in making the medicine for Black Death, he immediately called Taylor and others to arrange for a lecture at Rose Institute. Taylor, prepare the auditorium. Today I will be giving a presentation on Black Death. Call all the pharmacists so that they can learn the process of making the medicine. We will be producing this medicine in a large scale and start distributing it at Dolores and the other nearby areas. Meanwhile, try this mana-restoring pill. What do you think? John thought, let's see how the Radiant Church after our mass mobilization of this medicine. I guess they will laugh at our foolishness at first. Taylor was quite surprised as he only had 60% magic power in his body previously, but it was fully recovered after taking the pill. Yes, my lord. This pill is quite magical. Taylor suddenly remembered of Annan and gave another report. My lord, it seems King Ludwin's diplomat, Mr. Annan has arrived. He wishes to meet you and Tornwall. How do we handle this? John nodded and spoke. Asked Tornwall himself. If he wants to meet him, then it's okay. We won't be stopping his freedom. From the looks, they are here to recruit Tornwall by creating differences between us. Any news from the borders? Taylor nodded and gave the report. Yes, our scouts at sea have spotted big preparations from the royal family, fjords, and the dwarves. Admiral Blake has concluded that they will try to invade Winter City and Aurora. Both the cities are on full alert. Taylor added, since we have not announced the existence of Winter City and Aurora City. They too are choosing to ignore it and treating it as a foreign power so that they can invade justifiably. John thought and spoke, it seems we can't hide it for long. Very well, we will announce it after they try to invade us. This can also show our power to our neighbors, or else we will be treated as a ragtag bunch from the countryside. Are there any developments from Tornwall and Will? Taylor smiled and nodded. Yes, researcher Will and Tornwall have currently discovered the use of magic stones like we used coal for power generation. They have successfully made a prototype of steam engine which works on the magic stones as power. Meanwhile, all the ships are fitted water boosters at Aurora and Winter City. John too was quite surprised by this development as he keenly looked at the report about magic stones. John thought and spoke, it seems hunting those animals can be quite useful to us this time around. Meanwhile, we will be using mana-restoring pills to train our magic knights and magicians. Has there been any success in recruiting the magicians? They will be quite helpful in our research. Taylor shook his head and spoke, no, my lord. Most of the powerful magicians are either hired by kings and dukes or they live in isolated places to conduct their research. They only come out when they need resources for their experiments. However, we are keeping tabs on the magicians with our spies currently. I think these mana-restoring pills can spur their interest if we make it public. The demons and elves would be quite happy to support us publicly as they are races which are highly dependent on mana. Additionally, it can be our monopolized item as there has been no precedent of such type of pill. The dwarves too can be tempted as they can find other uses of this pill. What do you think? John was surprised as he thought, yes, maybe we should try selling the lowest grade of pills in the market. This time we can even pass through this ordeal when we have rebelled. Yes, we can use these pills as a bargaining chip to get support from other powers while the magicians too can be lured. John meanwhile thought as he looked at mana-restoring pill, I was just making this pill as I was interested in this Black Death disease. It seems I need to research more on alchemy and try making other types of pills and medicine. This will certainly have a big influence on this continent. But this will also change the military landscape. Well, it is still manageable. John nodded and made a decision. Okay, it's decided, we will start selling these mana-restoring pills at our auctions. Try bringing that dwarf Annan as well. Meanwhile, don't forget to arrange for my lecture. Taylor smiled and spoke, yes, my lord. As Taylor left, John thought, I need to start planning about making currency notes and banks to control the circulation of gold. This will be good for Ilias as a whole in trade and would increase the frequency of trades conducted. Chapter 237. Currently, Blake and his men were currently looking at the big fleets which were frequently patrolling near Eastport City and Brindle towards the north at Winter City and Aurora very aggressively. Blake spoke to Sean in a grave tone, it seems they will attack soon in a few days from the way their preparations and our skirmishes are going on, it is good that all of our ships have a telescope to detect their intentions early on. If any one of them has the intention to invade, we will be using full force to rout them out. This Time Lord has made it clear to show extreme force against any misadventure by opportunists and those with malicious intentions. Pass on this order to every captain. Sean nodded and spoke, I will immediately pass on the information to everyone, including those at Winter City. Sean then prepared several letters for the captains of various ships and handed it over to the guy who was handling the falcon seabirds that were bred just recently. Sean sighed and looked towards the direction of Aurora Port where Judd was currently training with the new recruits who were training with their Aurora horses. It's good that we have bred these falcons. Usually, it is very hard to pass on information from the sea easily. Blake nodded as he agreed with Sean, yes, these falcons have surely become handy. I heard the Ghosts funded a lot of their funds into this project so that communication can become faster. Meanwhile, how is the situation of the Aurora units? Sean spoke as he remembered about Judd. Well, Judd and his Aurora team are battle-ready, but a lot of the recruits are very young. However, their fleet is equipped with all the latest weapons, so it is good overall. Blake suddenly remembered Swan and nodded, yes, I forgot about it. I guess they can only be used for surprise attacks later on. Well, it is still okay. Well, it's good that those dwarves and others are constantly being harassed by the sea monsters, so it is quite hard for them to invade here at Winter City and Aurora City. However, we still need to be cautious and keep a close look at them. We can't slack off just because we have better weapons and accessories. We are still low on numbers. Blake smiled as he was leisurely watching the dwarven fleet which was going to meet a flock of sea hydras. Nothing to see here, let's leave. They would most likely be running away after incurring heavy losses against those beasts. Sean asked him with a confused face, why don't we finish them ourselves? Blake smiled as he understood Sean's thoughts and explained to him the crux of the matter. It's complicated. Currently the ministers are focusing on stabilizing the situation after we have declared war against the royal family. At the same time, we have sent our diplomats to Brindle, and the same is being done by King Ludwin and his ministers. We are also trying to get in touch with demons of Fire Abyss Kingdom. Currently, we don't want to be seen as aggressors if any one of them escapes. Because of our small actions, they might get a justified reason to attack us and get more concessions from us during negotiations. A lot of countries are keeping a close watch on us. So that is the reason we are careful. Sean sighed and understood that it was a complicated situation. Suddenly there came the sounds of bombardment. Blake was surprised because no one in their fleet made the move. Sean pointed at a direction and spoke while looking with his telescope, see with the telescope over there. It seems the dwarven fleet is engaged with the flock of sea hydras. What is that weird weapon? It is quite different from our cannons. After watching the weapons and the bombardment, Blake was immediately alerted and spoke to his men, immediately record everything in detail about this weapon of dwarves. This piece of information will be very useful in reducing our casualties when they try to invade. Is everyone clear? Yes, Admiral. Sean nodded and headed towards all the scouts and started giving orders. At the dwarven side, their General Nakud was quite irritated with the sea monsters that constantly attacked. One of the sailors spoke, haven't we lost enough men already to these sea monsters? Why haven't we used them to deal with these monsters yet? Another of the ships was attacked by the hydras. After some while, Nakud too had lost his cool and spoke, I guess we have had enough with these sea monsters. We might as well use the shots. Start loading the shot powder, balance formulae, and chaos stones inside shots. We are finally using it. Though it is a bit ahead of time, it is safe here as our enemies aren't here. We are anyway going to use them against those guys at north. King Ludwin has anyway allowed for the weapon to be used this time around. It would be good if we can colonize them to become our puppets against Elias. All the mates at the fleet were cheering as soon as they were allowed to use the shots. The despair and agony of not being able to use their weapons soon faded and was filled with cheers. One of the veterans sighed and spoke, finally, we can some peace at night while sailing the seas. But there is a big war coming. I hope it is okay to use these weapons just before the war. The veteran smiled and spoke, well, not necessarily a big war. We are only trying our chances. Meanwhile, we have most of the information on those ballistas, so our enemies are bare naked in front of us. If we play our cards right, then we might be able to take over them by using our superior ships and weapons. This time, we have both, the shots for ships and the small shots for individual combat, so this time, our combat prowess has increased by multiple folds. Even those devils or the undead we usually come across will have a hard time. After some time, all the sea hydras were dead when the shots were used. General Nakud gave a command to everyone, get good rest and eat fully this night, we will be invading them tomorrow at dawn. So be prepared. Meanwhile, inform the fjords that they should be ready by tomorrow. Yes, sir. Everyone roared as they were filled with morale. Blake smiled as he looked at the dwarven fleet from his telescope. This will be interesting. We might have a chance to get their weapons while not facing any casualties if they try to invade us. Sean too sighed with relief as he saw that the range of the cannons was only comparable with the ballistas. It seems they want to attack us to get the ballistas, since we will be their biggest thorn when they try to expand near their borders. Blake nodded and reached the same conclusion, yes. However, this might also be their biggest mistake. Meanwhile, send this information to Lord John as well. We would have to be cautious against that diplomat. He may try something funny like trying to get our blueprints forcefully or through the spies. Anyway, spread this information to all the captains. We should be cautious since the enemy may try to invade us anytime, as they have already started to show their fangs. Sean nodded and started the preparations. He smiled and thought, this naval war might very well increase our influence in the seas. For the first time, we will be able to fully show the naval capabilities of the Sky Kingdom. As for Fjord, he might very well cry a river if he hears about the performance of our ships. Chapter 238. Bran was at the Aurora port as he carefully read both reports, which came within a matter of few hours from Sean. I guess the dwarves are not attacking without any reason. Sure enough, we too would be confident if we had hidden such a weapon and wanted to increase our borders. I guess their efforts will be futile this time around. Bran smiled and looked at the cannons as he murmured. The same reaction was being felt by Eric, who was controlling the port at Winter City. Currently, Lucius, Clay and Azrael were training with Judd and his fleet. Lucius was particularly training with sword and guns currently. Lucius thought as he trained with his guns, it seems my training was worth it in getting Commander Judd's attention. Watching Judd making a confused and serious face, Lucius understood that something serious was going to happen or had happened. Azrael whispered to his mates and asked, "What do you think happened?" Clay as usual laughed and spoke, "I think his girlfriend just found his secret stash and hence his gloomy face." Suddenly Swan laughed as he heard Clay and spoke, "Bullshit, that guy and a girlfriend? Impossible. He is just a weapons maniac." Everyone in the Aurora unit started laughing as they heard the conversation between Clay and Swan. Unlike the usual jolly atmosphere, Judd cleared his throat and gave an immediate order to everyone with a grave face, "All of the guys below 17 years of age are dismissed from today for the next month. You guys will be training directly under Jake. While the other older guys of the Aurora unit will be participating in direct patrols with me from today onwards." Swan screamed, "WTF? Why am I included in this list as well? I want to join the patrols. I have already mastered close combat." Lucius furrowed his brows and spoke, "It seems something fishy is going on. Looks like something is brewing in the northern seas as they have given this order. I think this order is directly given by Admiral Blake. It mostly looks like they are either heading for a mission or they are preparing for war at seas." Azrael too nodded and agreed with Lucius and spoke, "Most likely war. I heard we are already at war on the lands after the royal family and others tried to invade us for dubious reasons." Looking at Lucius, Clay understood that he was planning to participate in these patrols no matter the cost. He thought, I guess I will have to help him out. Judd gave a cold stare to Swan, who was defying, but he didn't speak a word later on as he understood that there was no way to convince Judd. He thought, this guy is quite serious today. I guess he took my joke quite seriously. Swan cursed, stinky old men. Let's see how he can stop me. Swan looked at the other kids, Lucius and their group, as he smiled. I might as well team up with them and join these patrols. Those brats are certainly planning something. Yes, I should approach that troublemaker Clay, as it is easy to talk with him. The royal family had meanwhile sent General Endo for his expedition at north. He was a newly appointed general by King Lionheart. It seemed that General Endo was one of the brothers of her concubine, Cecilia. For raking up quick achievements and making a name for himself, he saw this rebellion as an opportunity, and he volunteered himself to raid the Winter City and occupy it. Little did he know about the fate of General Irwin and others when they tried to invade North Frontier Town. One of his assistants, who was from the same family, spoke cunningly, Lord, it seems like this rebellion was a heaven-sent opportunity for us. General Endo smiled and spoke, well, all the credit for it goes to my nephew, Hector. He was quite pissed with that man and hence used all of his resources to corner that upstart. It seems the plan was a success from the way that Count acted this time around and showed his fangs to the kingdom. The assistant, what about their weapons? We need to be careful, right? Endo nodded but gave his conclusions. True, we need to be careful of their ballistas, but in the end, they still have to defend that city which can't move anywhere. Additionally, this time we are moving with the dwarves so that upstart really won't be a problem. However, I suspect that dwarves are only trying to intimidate him and will eventually side with him. So we must be more careful about those dwarves. And what about the fjords? General Endo snorted and spoke in a mocking manner, what about them? They are actually being led by that rookie, W.D.S, when it comes to naval warfare. If he acts against us, we might as well use this opportunity to pressurize the fjords into giving us the ship blueprints which Minister Plato has been drooling for a long time. This problem with that count was started by the Laguna family, fjord, in the first place. The assistant didn't agree and spoke, not really, my lord. According to our family sources, this war was instigated by Prince Hector when he gave the assassination order for Evan so that he can use the fjords against that count. General Endo looked around and spoke, SHH, though you are my right-hand man and are from the family, you should control that mouth of yours. It will be very problematic if someone hears you. What matters currently is that fjords forced a situation on everyone and hence the current results. Do you have any news on the dwarves? The assistant nodded and spoke, yes, General Nakud has sent this letter to you. As far as internal information is concerned, that rebel has sent a diplomat named Philip to Brindle, and the same has been done by King Ludwin. It seems something is cooking up. One of the sailors who was a spy from Duke Fjords heard from a magic rune and was immediately chilled. What? Prince Hector ordered the assassination of Lord Evan? This is big news. This needs to be reported immediately. He immediately took out his magic pen and wrote a letter, filled it up in a bottle and threw it in the sea. One-eyed W.D.S spoke with arrogance as he read the letter of General Nakud, this time, let's see how those guys escape. Previously, they were quite arrogant because of their weapons. He thought, this is the war where I will avenge my brother. This chaos started all because of that upstart merchant. His assistant soon spoke, General, what about the orders from Duke? He said that we need to be cautious as we have already lost enough ships. W.D.S saw that his assistant was acting quite suspiciously and spoke, what are you worried about? You don't want to become a soldier who was killed in action, right? The assistant shivered and spoke, no sir, we will attack that city at dawn. He thought, humph, I am not the only one who is keeping a watch on you. It seems I need to report this to strategist Jonas after this mission. Currently, there was furor at the capital city of Brindle. With a surprised face, the Wine King asked after drinking the blood moon, who made this wine? I would like to know the creator of this wine. The mayor knew that there would be a problem, so he asked cautiously, "Is there a problem, Wine King?" The Wine King shook his head and spoke, "No, after such a long time I was able to drink such a good wine. So this wine got me interested." A lot of aristocrats were surprised after hearing the comments of Wine King. The agricultural minister who was just visiting the banquet asked the mayor, "Hey, who bought in those wines that even Wine King has taken the interest in it?" The mayor hesitated a bit and introduced Philip. It was actually the envoy of Lord John, Mr. Philip. Not recognizing John or Philip, the minister asked the mayor, "Someone from outside the kingdom? Now, this is surprising. What is their history? Please explain in detail." After hearing in detail from mayor, the minister, and Wine King both understood the reason for Philip's arrival. The agricultural minister, Cuggan, smiled after having a taste of Blood Moon and got straight to the point and asked Philip, "It seems you guys are in a diplomatic crisis currently. Offer me 500 bottles of that wine and I can help you arrange a meeting with the higher UPS, how about it?" Philip was waiting for this sort of opportunity as he smiled and thought, "I never thought that I would be able to gain a meeting this early with the higher UPS. I must not miss this opportunity. Of course, we will be gifting these wines to both Wine King and Lord Cuggan. I hope I can meet the defense minister and sort out and negotiate our problems so that our misunderstanding doesn't widen up. Meanwhile, we would like to offer our best wines and trade with Brindle and trade in other items." The Wine King too smiled and immediately ordered the mayor, "Mayor, you can go and announce the results of this competition to everyone present." The Wine King showed a big smile and asked Philip later on, "Diplomat Philip, I would like to know the name of the creator of this marvelous wine." Philip smiled as all the parties were interested in their wine and spoke, "It was actually our Lord who made the creation of this wine possible. It was because of our chief engineer, Mr. Tornwall, that he decided to engage in winemaking. Recently, there have been various varieties of wines that have been released by our Lord's manor." The Wine King, mayor, and the agricultural minister, Cuggan, were quite surprised when they heard that their lord made this wine just for his chief engineer. Cuggan thought, "It seems Tornwall is living quite a happy life." The Wine King thought, "It seems I have to travel to North Frontier Town. If these wines are made using the magic power, I wonder what will be their real value. They are already this good. My only wines that are capable of competing with these are those with magic power. I need to talk with King Ludwin and others." Very soon the banquet was concluded. Mayor was showing a happy face as well as a grumpy face as well. Happy because he was able to make a good impression on the Wine King and the agricultural minister. Grumpy because he was ordered to create problems for diplomat Philip from the foreign ambassador at Duke Fjord's domain. The mayor, well, I can't keep everyone happy. Additionally, this wine is so good I would never have imagined to get it in my lifetime. I guess it is worth it, not to mention my contact with Wine King and Lord Cuggan today." Chapter 239. The next day. The whole North Frontier city was excited as John had made a big presentation about the Black Death disease in Rose Institute and gave the solutions regarding this life-reaping disease, but he only gave the theories while keeping the formulas to himself. There wasn't much hubbub before the lecture, but it became big after the pharmacists got to know about the contents of John's lecture. One of the pharmacists spoke enthusiastically after hearing John's lecture, "I never thought that Black Death was an artificially made disease and could have such a solution." The most important conclusion was that it was a parasite that affected those with low magic power. It seems, our army had encountered this disease and hence the extreme measures employed by Lord John to tackle it. You should have been present yesterday. You missed a big opportunity to see such a lecture which would be recorded in history for the next coming years. I guess this would also develop the next generation of pharmacists after this example. One of the pharmacists spoke as he was in his lab yesterday. "Well, this entire lecture was recorded, so there is no problem even if I missed it. It will be there at the Rose Institute, so I will head there later on and research more on that case after borrowing the books. Anyway, Currently most of the pharmacists are hired by the administrative headquarters. I too am going since the pay is good. Do you know anything about it? As far as I know, it is certainly related to this war, so that is the reason for higher pay. And another reason is that there are few light magicians in our domain, and hence the bigger reliance on us. Foreign Minister Annan looked at the report given by his assistant and asked, "Are you sure that this news is true?" The assistant nodded and spoke, "Yes, my lord. I have personally verified it. I was at the lecture previously with our pharmacist and he said that this was very big news. It seems they certainly know the source of this problem and may have already created a drug which can nullify it." He continued, "However, the bigger matter right now is, previously Minister Taylor invited us to attend their biggest auction today. He hinted that we will be more surprised today after visiting that auction. From my sources, I know that Demon Prince Chad's assistant too is going to attend this auction. The only ones that are not being invited are Ambassador Luke and his mates. I think you know the reason behind that. I expect them to introduce the cures for Black Death at this auction." Annan asked with a serious face, "Did you remind him about our lost ships in the North Sea and their consequences?" The assistant nodded and spoke, "Yes, however, Interior Minister Taylor is quite stubborn. It seems currently their policy is coming from King John himself. So we can't influence it. He said that any misadventure at Winter City and Aurora Island will lead to consequences for which they won't be responsible. Today, they will officially announce the existence of Winter City, Aurora City, and other wild areas that they are trying to tame or have already tamed." The assistant spoke with a grave tone, "However, they gave us another piece of important information which would be useful to us." Annan furrowed his brows and asked, "What is it?" He spread out a map and pointed towards some locations. "Duke Norman too is expanding his lands at north with the permission of the royal family while carefully avoiding areas that are being occupied by Lord John himself. These are the places where they are trying to occupy the Northlands." Annan shockingly asked, as he never expected this sort of development, "What? They are already occupying all the wild areas in the north? Now, this is big news. We must inform the other ministers." The assistant continued and spoke in a grave manner, "The reason they gave us this information is that it seems they want to strengthen their relations with other powers. I guess, the Fire Abyss Kingdom too will be alarmed by these moves." Annan sighed and thought, if we had just moved a year or two earlier, then we would have been able to capture those lands and get a permanent base near Ilias. But all is ruined because of those ballistas. He sighed and spoke, "I guess, we were too greedy to swallow everyone up near our borders and waited for too long." The assistant spoke, "Yes, the Fire Abyss Kingdom too is alarmed. However, they are more worried about Duke Friedrich Blusia's borders and Count John's borders meeting up after this expansion. This would basically strengthen both Sky Kingdom and Duke Friedrich." Duke Annan murmured, "It seems this auction will be very important from the way they are promoting it." Assistant worriedly asked, "Lord, what about General Nakud and their raid at Winter City?" Annan smiled and spoke, "If they, Sky Kingdom, are able to repel it, we will simply say that we thought there was some foreign power and hence sent an expedition. We only got to know about their occupation after today's announcement. If they are not able to repel it, we can ask for some big concessions from their side, like getting back Tornwall or some of their technologies. In the end, might is right. We are anyway prepared for diplomatic as well as military measures. Are you clear?" The assistant nodded and spoke, "Yes, my lord." Annan murmured as his assistant left, "I hope we don't lose too many men. Anyway, I should check up on Greg, Jackson, and others." Darius's assistant meanwhile got a report from his men and took the bottle and unencrypted it to read the message. He read the message, which was related to Lord Evan, who was previously assassinated. Now, this is big. Should I report it to General? Nat, I will directly pass on this message to strategist Jonas and other ministers. From the looks of it, General Darius is very much in this war because of his personal hate for Count John, where he lost his brothers, so he may suppress this news and try to use it to his advantage. I need to make preparations. At the auction. Currently, Giorgio was keenly looking at the movements of John and all the other aristocrats who were participating with much enthusiasm. He murmured as he watched diplomats and ministers of various kingdoms, "I guess they are going to reveal something big, and hence the big movements today." He smiled as he looked at Ambassador Luke, who was coming in as if he was a thief. Serves them right. Meanwhile, Ambassador Luke was quite irritated as he had to attend this auction from the commoner sitting arrangements while hiding his face at the same time. He irritatingly murmured, "Damn it! It is certainly suspicious that all of these aristocrats are present here. Something is definitely going on. Why were we so anxious to get our hands in this pit thinking it was gold mine?" His assistant asked as he observed Luke's current mood, "My lord, I think it is related to the cure of Black Death and their medicines. What do you think?" Luke shrugged it off and spoke in a grave manner, "What about it? Nothing to do with us. We will report them as usual. It is the ministers who will deal with Black Death and the recent cure which Count John has introduced. More than Black Death, I am more worried about the presence of those dwarves and demons. I hope they don't sign a deal with them, or else it would be disastrous for us. The very advantage that we have will all go to waste if they ally with Brindil. Even those demons have visited this auction today. It would be very troublesome to deal with them together." He thought, well, on the positive side, the dwarves will get on bad terms with the fjords. Meanwhile, Annan smiled as he saw that Luke was currently hiding his face and seated at the commoner area to observe the auction. He thought of some idea after finding them out. "Ah, those arrogant guys are quite docile today. I must have some fun teasing them." Annan slowly approached Luke and mocked him, "Ha ha ha ha, it seems that even the mighty Elias can't do anything to a rebel. Well, I guess it was natural that Count John rebelled against the greed of your king and his ministers, who were hoping to eat dragon meat without putting in any effort. Well, you guys were still lucky to get those ballistas without any research. If we were in your place, we would have never treated Count John and his men with such contempt. I guess that is the difference between Elias and Brindil when it comes to treating their researchers." One of Luke's guards couldn't take in any slander and immediately roared, "You dare slander Elias and the royal family?" Annan smiled as he saw one of Luke's guards taking the bait of his words. He smiled and further provoked them, "Yet, what if I am? You know this isn't Elias where your brute force would work." He smiled and pointed near the guards at auction, "If you want, you can try using your authority on them. I don't think they would mind me slandering Elias. No, they would be delighted hearing it." With a serious face, Luke asked Annan after hearing him, "What do you mean, Minister Annan?" Annan gave a cunning smile and spoke, "As you guessed, we are going to recognize the Sky Kingdom after some negotiations. You see, I got orders from ministers at Brindil that they were quite satisfied with the gift provided by diplomat Philip. And if you are offended for this land being called the Sky Kingdom, then show me that this is Elias. I don't see any authority or power of Elias or the royal family over here." With a dark face, Luke didn't refute because he knew that if he created a ruckus, then he and his men would be thrown out immediately. They had already lost face when they were the only ones who were not invited at this auction. He signaled his guard to calm down and headed the other way. He murmured, "I guess we need to tolerate this humiliation for now." A lot of guys were clamoring as they identified that it was Ambassador Luke and his men. One of the demon diplomats smiled as he saw Ambassador Luke. This is quite interesting. It seems something big is happening today at this auction, as even Luke, disregarding his face, is coming here personally. No wonder ministers wanted me to attend this auction. I guess this is the effect of that cure for Black Death." He gazed in a different direction but couldn't find the source. What is this ominous aura? I guess I am hallucinating a lot these days after arriving at this city. Chapter 240. One of the devils smiled as he sensed one of the demons trying to gauge them and asked his comrade, "Why are you so much interested in this auction here?" The other devil smiled and spoke as he continuously looked at the auction platform, "Well, I feel a bit of external magic power coming out of this place. So we might as well have a look at this place. Well, we need to be careful of demons, we are far out of our homeland and don't want to be caught because of your curiosity." The other guy smiled and spoke, "Yes, but a look won't be dangerous, right?" The other devil sighed, "I guess this is okay as well. This count has anyway attracted the interest of a lot of people on this continent. What do you think, should we contact this count?" The other devil thought and spoke, "Well, there is no harm in it. From the rumors I heard that he is pretty easygoing, unlike the demons who cry after every contract we make with them. They cry foul for making losses and slander us every time. Anyway, let's first see what they are up to and then later make our decision." Very soon the auction started on time. One of the commoners commented after watching the security and a number of important people attending this particular auction. "It seems something big is going on at this auction. Don't you think so?" after looking at the security. "Yes, I too feel the same. The atmosphere here is a bit tense, unlike the previously held auctions. Additionally, today I can see a lot of ministers as well. See, even Jean the municipal minister is here. Anyway, from the looks, we can expect a lot of different things as well as valuable items which can be bought by anyone. Yes, this time, there will be a lot of items definitely, since it is such a grand auction today, so we can look forward to it." At this time, Jack was also present, who was keenly waiting for this auction for a long time. He smiled as he saw Kevin, Thomas, and Michael, who were new entrepreneurs of Sky Kingdom. "I guess a lot of rare items will be presented today to make this event livelier, and hence the big crowd, which includes a lot of people today." Very soon the first item was presented. The first item to be introduced was the longevity pill in a batch of 3, which had disappeared for decades after Melanie resigned from court. The presenter smiled and spoke as the item came into view of everyone. "As you can see, this is a pill. We are opening the auction with the introduction of longevity pill. I am sure every one of you is aware about the history of this pill. But this time it is a bit different. As every one of you know, Lord John is a disciple of Grand Podewunner Melanie. This pill was personally refined by Lord John himself with a change formulae. This pill can increase the life of a person by 25 years, this has been personally verified by various appraisers which we hired previously." Suddenly there was a hubbub in the crowd when they heard of this pill. One of the rich men in the crowd couldn't stop as he heard the announcement and exclaimed, "What? Longevity pill, and that too with 25 years of increased lifespan, that is personally refined by Lord John himself." Allison furrowed his brows as he looked at the longevity pill. Why are these guys fussing so much over a longevity oil which can only increase 25 years? Allison. Having a lifespan of 10 hundreds of years, it was quite natural for Allison to react in such a way. Mist understood his mindset and explained to him, "Well, this may still be quite useful to our elders. So let's not spite about the reactions. Those old fogies would react the same way when they heard about this pill." Allison nodded and spoke, Yes, we may as well try to get our luck." Allison looked around and spoke, "Well, it will be tough considering the interest of demons and dwarfs." Mist, "Well, it's expected, as demons explore a lot of taboo magics to increase their power and hence lose lifespan. Anyway, let's focus on the opening item." The presenter immediately announced, the starting price would 500 gold coins with a minimum increase of 50. Immediately a person from below spoke as he looked at the pills, 550 gold coins. 700. 800. The demon ambassador roared immediately, 1,000. Who dares fight against me for this pill? Luke snorted and spoke, Humph. Ellison raised the bid. 1,100. The dwarves too joined the bid, 1,200. 1,500. Suddenly one of the merchants screamed from below. He was quite aged. He murmured, I will have it no matter the cost. Previously we never got the chance to get our hands on such items, but it is possible at this auction when everyone gets a chance to participate. 2,000. 3,000. 5,000 gold coins. Very soon the price reached 7,000 gold coins, which Luke bid. 8,000. said the old merchant with red-shot eyes as if he was determined to win at any cost. There was a look of astonishment on the faces of a lot of people. They heard him. Interesting, spoke the devil with a smile, who was continuously observing the situation. Yes, if it was any other place then he would have been robbed immediately or killed for offending a noble. Well, he would even be able to participate in such type of auctions if that was the case. Luke was pissed very much as he heard from Ellison that they didn't have enough money currently. Damn it, why didn't you guys bring enough money? Very soon the third hammer rang and those batch of pills were won by the merchant. And these batch of pills goes to Merchant Bill. Yes. As soon as he got the pills, he immediately took one of the pills without any hesitation. He spoke, I got these pills after such a long time.